Radio Heartbeats with Charlie Southern.
We've done the homework.
Now it's your turn.
It's homework for grown-ups.
Yes, it's homework for grown-ups. So let's have our usual contestants. I've got rid of those other three that were in here before. They're absolutely rubbish. And they've gone out the studio, so they don't know what I'm talking about. We've got another three contestants here. And your name is Mark, isn't it? And It's Brian and it's George. Welcome. I know they're the same names as those other people, it's just a coincidence. Right, we're going to do homework for grown-ups. So, Mark, should we start?
Yep.
Or should we start with George?
Yeah,
okay.
Start with George.
Start with George for a change, yeah. When was the Battle of Hastings? No, I'm only joking, that's dead easy. What is a turlough? Turlough. Is it an underwater trench, a coastal cliff, a small waterfall, or a seasonal lake?
No. A seasonal lake.
Well done, it is. Brian, a fisherman tries to catch which fish in Ernest Hemingway's classic novel, The Old Man and the Sea? Is it a giant marlin, a bluefin tuna, a great white shark, or a swordfish?
Swordfish?
It's a great marlin, or giant marlin, I should say. Mark, what occurs in a solar equinox? Is it the moon crosses the sun crosses the equator, the sun and the moon appear next to each other in the sky, I'm losing the will to live, or the sun emits a flare of radiation?
I don't know, so I'm going to guess. I'm going to say the sun crosses the equator.
You're right. Yes. I wouldn't be able to remember the first one, never mind all them. Brian, George, sorry, what is the length in miles of Hadrian's Wall? Do you know? Well, I've got a tape measure there, if you just go and find out. Is it 48 miles, 61 miles, 73 miles, or 89 miles?
I think it's the second one.
It's 73 miles. Okay. Who did not sign the US Declaration of Independence, Brian? Do you happen to know without me saying?
Well, loads of people. I didn't sign it. Is that
yeah, you're right. That's the point. No. John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, or George Washington? Which of them?
George Washington.
It was indeed. So you did know it. Mark, in which year did the first same-sex marriage take place in the UK? Was it 1993, 1999, 2004, 2014?
Not sure, going to guess 1999.
It was 2014.
Wow, okay.
George, rain on the planet Venus consists of what? Is it sulfuric acid, liquid methane, caustic soda, or molten glass?
I'll say sulfuric acid.
You're right, it is indeed. Brian, which muscle structure separates the heart into left and right? Is it ventricles, atria, aorta, or septum?
Ventricles.
It's septum. Mark, in which of the following countries did the art movement Futurism originate? Was it France, United States, Italy, or Spain?
Again, I don't know. I'm going to guess. I'm going to say the United States.
It was Italy.
Was it?
George, Alces, A-L-C-E-S, A-L-C-E-S, is the Latin name for which kind of animal? Is it polar bear, moose, fox, or domestic cat?
I'll say a fox.
It's a moose. Brian, when did George Harbaugh and Frank Samuelson become the first people to row across the Atlantic? Was it 1696, 1796, 1896, or 1996?
1996.
It was 1896.
Wow.
I know, I thought that. In marine biology, Mark, what is the main characteristic of a bivalve? Is it has two hearts, it has two brains, it has two legs, it has two shells?
Ooh. It has two brains.
It has two shells. George, what did brutalist architecture emerge as a style in the UK? When did brutalist architecture emerge as a style in the UK? Was it the 1920s, 1950s, 1980s, 2000s?
The 20s.
1950s. Who was the Roman god of love, Brian? Cupid, Ares, Eros, or Aphrodite?
The Roman god of love. What were the options again, please?
Cupid, Ares, Eros, or Aphrodite?
I will say Eros.
It was Cupid.
Ah.
Mark, in UK law, what is the term of copyright for works of literature? Is it 50 years after the death of the author, 50 years after first publication, 70 years after the death of the author, or 70 years after the first publication?
Again, I don't know, and I feel like I should, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say D, the fourth one, 70 years after the publication.
70 years after the death of the
Ooh.
author. George, the famous 20th century painting American Gothic depicts two figures. What object is one of the figures holding? Is it a pitchfork, a skull, a broom, or a knife?
A pitchfork.
Well done. In a car's four-stroke engine, Brian, what is not one of the four strokes? Is it intake, rotation, compression, or exhaust?
Exhaust.
It's rotation.
Oh.
And finally, Mark, who wrote the poetry collection 20 Love Poems and The Song of Despair? Was it Ted Hughes, John Keats, Walt Whitman, or Pablo Neruda?
Again, I don't know, so I'm going to guess. I'm going to say Walt Whitman.
It's Pablo Neruda. Oh, sorry, no, hang on, don't be rushing off. That's the end of the quiz. Thanks for taking part. So anyway, there we go. Anyway, what was the scores on the doors?
Well, myself and Brian both got a measly 1 point each, but the runaway winner this evening is George with 3 points.
Wow.
Well done, George. Well done indeed.
He's top of the
Well done
class this
indeed.
evening.
It's homework for grown-ups.
This is Radio Heartbeats.